I'm in Joe Red Feather's little office here, and that's his war shield. And Joe, how would you say your name in your language, the Lakota?
Wiakaluta.
Wiakaluta.
Wiakaluta, Red Feather.
Outstanding. And Red Feather has something to do with a warrior society as well, doesn't it?
It's called the Blood Feather. It is like unto the Purple Heart, which is...
That's Joe's Purple Heart. He fought in Vietnam, and he's certainly a war hero as far as I'm concerned. What could you explain a little bit about the Red Feather Society?
Yes, the Red Feather Society is a society of red feather recipients, and the red feather is a gift from the people rather than a government for representing the people and spilling your blood on foreign soil. And the feather in itself is an awesome award, but it also comes with responsibilities, and that responsibility is no drugs, no alcohol.
And no swearing.
And no abuse.
And no swearing. I've attempted to say a few cuss words in front of you, and you've stopped me because you're not supposed to hear them either.
You're hammering in a tent peg or a teepee peg, and you hit your finger with a hammer. Something about old fudge just doesn't click. But the Red Feather Society, and the honoring, the best part of it was when 3,500 people lined up single file and waited for their turn to thank us for what we did. That's
wow.
The difference. And you can't experience that until you have.
No.
You know, that's the way people should honor the veterans. And what I have in my hand is a war bonnet. And anyone that knows this about the war bonnet is an honoring also. And each feather was presented to a recipient. This is the war bonnet. And this is a case that you collect your feathers in. It's a feather case. And it has feathers in it. It has feathers in it. These aren't real feathers. But it's a feather case that I take with me to the classes and hand to the kids when a kid asks a good question, or I present them with a feather afterwards. And this has a War Bonnet Society on it. This clusters, those diamonds represent feathers. And when you collect it enough, then you can make your war bonnet. Then after your war bonnet is made, then you can go on and collect trailers for it, you know. And
what's a trailer?
A trailer is 2 long rows. Maybe start out with a single row in the back, and then...
Oh, you mean a war bonnet with a train behind it?
Well, I call it a trailer.
Trailer, okay.
And so you might be, I don't know. These dots here, nowadays they wear them in powwows, kids wear them and everything else, but the regional purpose of this was to realize that during a powwow, this was an elder. And when you're coming up on the backside of an elder, it might be his last powwow. He might be mustering every ounce of strength to dance. So he is letting people know that don't bump them or don't hit them. That's what originally these dots were for. And these little horsehair were probably from favorite horses that he had owned. That's why some of them are, there should be different colors and stuff, or maybe not. Maybe they're all from one favorite war horse.
Now, were the war bonnets handed down, or were they buried?
No, they were earned and buried with the
warrior.
The only thing that's passed on in the family is the red feather. And then the yellow feather is the leader's feather, which is also presented to you.
You were made a war chief last year, weren't you?
Yes, and I was given the chief's feather, which is the center feather on the tail. This is what I keep my feathers in for honorings, and they don't belong to me, but they're passed on, or some do. But this is a cedar box, which is the best thing to put a feather in of any kind. And if you don't have that, even 2 old cedar shakes work good, because it kills mites and fish mites and all these things that eat feathers and poke holes in them. And this is my red feather, my Wiakaluta, also called the red feather, of course, in my name, but this is the blood feather. It was presented to me.
Looks like it's an old feather.
Yes, and it's Now, it's not quite the chief's feather, because the chief's feather goes exactly down the middle. And the reason they call it a chief's feather is one right next to the chief, which means we're supportive and we're there to support the medicine. And that is one of our other purposes is when we go to sweat lodges, and we, even no matter who runs them or what nation runs them, if the red feather is present, that's a good sign. That means they are supported by the red feather. When they pull back and move away and don't come to their lodge, it means that it's not a good lodge, and the people are kind of in danger. And we have the power as red feathers to pull people's pipes that run sweats that aren't of good standing. All we have to do is ask for their pipe, and then if they want it back, they have to go see grandfather and get it back again. You know, so
it's a very sacred thing.
Yes.
And you don't.
When feathers fall off on the dance floor, the first person that picks them up without ceremony, and the only one who can do it without ceremony, is a red feather recipient.
That's Joe's grandfather, Fool's Crow, and that's from an actual handbill that was produced for the Buffalo Bill Wild West show back in the late part of the 1800s and early part of the 1900s.
And Grandpa was 6 months old at the Battle of Wounded Knee.
He was 6 months old at the Battle of the Wounded Knee. 6 months old at the time of the Battle of Wounded Knee.
And his mother was killed there.
And his mother was killed there. So when you hear things about history, we're sitting here with somebody whose family actually lived it. All right.
Grandpa at Sundance, about a year before his death, and he died at 7 months short of 100. No, the two different canes.
Oh, I see. The two different canes. Okay.
Yeah, the little thin cane is a graduating class of '08 from Colgate University.
Wow.
And he was.
But that top one
together
is 6 generations.
10.
10 generations. That's several hundred years.
No carpenter or anybody's been able to tell me what that wood is on the bottom.
That upper cane there is 10 generations back to when it was first made. What is a generation, about 20 years?
I think it's more like 30. I'm talking about full generations. I'm talking about grandfather's life.
So we're talking...
It's the 10th grandfather.
Almost 1,000 years.
Oh, no, not quite that far, but 10...
How about 10,000 years?
It'd be about a little over, I think a little over 700 years.
700. That upper cane is almost 700 years old, and that's been handed down in his family from his Onondaga.
Onondaga, just outside
Onondaga.
This is the Lake Onondaga.
Wow!
Our neighbors Oneida, they're known for their silverware, aren't they?
Yeah.
Silverware.
All right, that's it for tonight. Thank you, Joe Redfeather, and for imparting knowledge to us. I'm not sure I'll be in the studio tomorrow. I'm certainly going to try to be. I wanted to be there today, but I just got caught up in doing a lot of research, going through all my books and photographs and stuff, so I can be prepared to be a little more accurate in what I'm doing with this warrior. I will start on the bow scabbard and the shield if I do go to the studio tomorrow. If I don't, then I'll start on it Friday.